You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 117. Today is July 27, 2024, and today's guest is my friend Ashleigh. Ashleigh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Andy. How are you?
I'm very good. Just getting ready to go. After I post this episode, I will be at the Dallas Cowboy Camp, having a time of my life.
Ooh, sounds fun.
So let's just jump into it. Ashleigh is I met her through TikTok, like I do all my new friends. And today we've actually been holding on to this podcast for a year now? We've been talking about it for about a year?
I'd say about a year, yeah.
So Ashleigh finally decided to come on. I think I harassed her for the last month, and she finally decided, okay, let's do it. Ashleigh, what happened?
I said it's time.
Let's go. So let's get right into it. Ashleigh, tell the listeners where you're from.
I am from a very small town in Michigan. Only about 1,500 people live there. It's a very quiet town.
Is that where you were born and raised?
No, I was actually born in Illinois. My dad was in the service, and he was stationed in Great Lakes, and that's where I came along.
Oh, my sister lives about 2 hours from there. She lives in Rantoul, Illinois. I think that's the first time I've said that without messing up the name. So, did you grow up with both parents?
So I did. I came into, my parents were married, and it was my parents and my 2 older brothers. And when my dad got out of the service, we had moved to Michigan, and I don't remember any of it because I was so young, but by the time I was 4, that was when my parents divorced.
Oh, you were 4 years old?
Yes.
Oh man, that sucks. So
it was definitely rough.
Did you said you had 2 older siblings? How old are they? How much older are they from you?
My oldest brother is 9 years older than me, and my second oldest is 3 years older than me.
Okay. Yeah, somewhat close with the second one.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming school wasn't at the same school every year, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you lived in Illinois up until how old?
I think I was like 2. I don't remember a lot of my young years. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. So you are obviously married?
Yes.
Right? Why'd you freeze?
We're getting married in May.
Why are you so nervous? We practiced earlier. We said it was gonna be
because we are not married yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay then. Well,
for 10 years.
How long have you been with your husband then? Or I'm gonna say your husband. You have kids with them.
You can say husband. That's
all right.
Okay.
All right. How long have you been with your husband?
We've been together since, well, I've known him since 2014.
2014. Wow, that's a long time.
It is a long time.
That's a long time. So you guys started, dating right away, or who made the first move?
Well, we met in September of 2014, and we started dating March 14th of 15.
Oh, so you guys knew each other for about a year before you guys started dating.
Yeah, just about.
Who asked who first?
I don't remember who asked who. I had a huge crush. It was pretty bad. I would make sure I went outside when he was going outside, and I kind of like lured him in, and I'm like, one day you're gonna be mine. So we just ended up dating.
Yeah. And you guys have kids now?
We do. We have my older son who was 12, and we have from a previous marriage, and we have an 8-year-old together.
Oh, okay. All right. A previous marriage meaning didn't work out, obviously.
Yeah, well, we were very young. So we got married when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
And it just didn't work.
No,
It didn't.
it doesn't always work out. I mean, it didn't work out with the mother of my kids, but
Yeah, and
um,
the thing is you never go into a marriage expecting a
you
divorce.
know what? I've been listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. He's got over 300 episodes, and I never knew that his podcast was similar to what I'm doing. But obviously, with him, it's with celebrities. He interviews celebrities,
Okay.
and I was listening to the episode where he had, I think his name is Colin Hanks,
Hmm.
Tom Hanks' son. I think it's Colin. And the one advice that Tom Hanks told his son was, do not get married at a young age, because
Yes.
you have to pretty much grow up. I mean, I feel like I didn't grow up until like I was 30 years old anyways myself.
Yeah.
So that's the one advice his Tom Hanks gave his son. His son Tom Hanks' son said that he attended his father's wedding when he was like 3 years old. And so yeah, I've been listening to that podcast religiously lately, and it's this I trip out. It's the same thing that I do with my guest, but
Right.
he interviews celebrities, and you would never know that some of the things that they say. I heard I'm listening to the one right now where he has Jennifer Love Hewitt on there. She talks about dad issues. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
you would never know. You would never know.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah, I think I made the same mistake. I was very young when I got with the mother of my kids. I mean,
Yeah.
we were kids ourselves having kids, so obviously
Right.
that.
I think of it this way. I'm like, why why would I get married when I don't even know how to make myself a doctor's appointment? Yeah,
But you got married.
I did.
But we don't. That's the one thing that we don't regret. We don't regret our kids. You know what I mean? So
No, I'm not.
you got your son out of it, and so you're good. So
Yes.
you have with your current husband now. I'm gonna continue to say husband. You guys have how many? Two kids?
We have one
Oh,
child
one,
together.
one, one. Okay. I don't know why I thought you had more than two kids. One. How old is he?
He's 8.
Eight. Okay. All right. So 2 years after you guys got together, or yeah, right? 2 years. You guys started dating. You guys started dating in 15. He's 8. Doing the math.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
born
Within a year.
I mean, I'm sorry, 16. He was born in 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So a year after you guys were dating. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, you're. It cut off again for a second, so I didn't hear you. Um. All right. Let's see here. Um. We're going by this pretty fast.
Yeah,
We are going by this pretty fast. Hopefully we can stretch it out.
yeah.
So when I met you, you were talking. Well, when I see your TikTok, when you're on live on TikTok, you're talking about MS, and
Yes.
you were diagnosed with MS back in 2014, right?
Yes, 2014,
Yeah,
yes.
because I see that you have the little icon on your name on TikTok, and it has
Yeah.
2014 on it.
Yeah, September 11th this year will mark 10 years
Oh
that I've
wow!
been diagnosed.
So you were diagnosed in September of 2014. So
Yes.
I don't know much about MS. I do listen to a morning show where they have the co-host that has had MS, and so what I did was I went on Google and I kind of Googled some questions to help me out with this episode.
Right.
So symptoms, symptoms. What symptoms did you have? Because I from hearing from the lady on the radio show, she went to multiple doctors, multiple tests, multiple everything until they finally. I think it took them years to finally say, "Oh, she has MS." But years of tests and doctor's appointments. What symptoms were you getting, and when did you get diagnosed? I mean, what test finally declared that you had MS?
So,
And this is the
it,
part where you can make your story long, stretch it
okay,
out.
what I do is I'm going to tell you what um, multiple sclerosis is.
Yeah, educate me. Yeah.
Yes. So, multiple sclerosis is a central nervous system autoimmune disease. So, my own immune system thinks that how do I explain this? It it eats my own myelin, which is on your nerves. You have nerve, and then you have like a conductor on your nerve.
Mm-hmm.
and it's called myelin. My body eats the myelin right off of my nerves, so it's just like frayed wires.
Okay.
So my first, um, I can't think of the word, and that's MS right there. My first, like what?
Your first flare up?
No, my first symptom was it felt as though my legs were going backwards, like backwards at the knee. And I'm like, this is really weird. So one day I'm making bacon for my family and it popped. Well, when it popped, a little bit of grease hit my eyelashes.
Okay.
The next morning I wake up and I can't see out of my eye.
Oh no.
Completely blind.
Yeah.
Out of that eye, just white. And I'm like, wow, that grease really did something. Well, my aunt who lives in Virginia where I live, she came to get me to go visit her in Virginia from North Carolina.
Right.
And I was visiting her house and she's like, no, you haven't been able to see out of your eye in 3 days. We're going to take you in and get it looked at. So we go to the emergency room and they gave me like a vision test and asked what I saw and all of that. And I let them know. And they said that it is optic neuritis. And I hear this word and it's being thrown around the emergency room. And I'm like, optic neuritis? That's weird. I've never heard of that before. So I'm laying there and I'm chatting with my aunt who took me and just making small talk. And they come back in and they said, we are going to refer you out to see a neurologist because that is the first symptom of MS for a lot of people. And I'm like, MS? Like, I don't know what that is. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
And I'm hearing these words being thrown out at me and I didn't know what was happening. Well, once I was calmed down and I was sent on my way, I went back to North Carolina from my little vacation and I saw my doctor and he said, yeah, let's go ahead and get you MRIs ordered. And I said, okay. Well, within 3 days, he had called me and he said, yeah, this is looking like multiple sclerosis. So mine was bam. I had my first symptom and I was diagnosed within a month.
Oh, wow.
It was very fast.
That's
for
a
me.
trip because, like I said, the lady that I listened to on the morning show, her name's Jill. She said it was years before they diagnosed her with MS.
Right. And they say that MS is a snowflake disease, nobody's is exact copy of another's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the moment you were told you have MS, I mean, what were you thinking? What went through your mind?
Honestly, I don't even know what went through my mind because I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
What I know now after living with it for 10 years, I would have never guessed any of this was part of it. I had no idea.
One of the questions that I saw on Google was, what kind of MS? So is there multiple different kinds of MS? Like what you just said right now is like a snowflake, right?
Yes.
So does each different MS have like a different name for it? Like MS?
Yeah. So there's the kind that I have, which is relapse remitting, which means I go a certain amount of time without a relapse, and that's called remission, so remitting. And then I'll have a relapse, and so it's relapse remitting. Then there's another one called secondary progressive, where you'll have a relapse and you'll end up losing part of yourself with that. And then there's a more extreme kind called I'm sorry. Why is it slipping my mind?
It's okay. I mean, you're more talkative now than you were in the beginning. So I'll take it.
Also, that is part of MS,
Yeah.
as you forgot talking about.
Yeah, you cut off for a second. That the being talkative is also a symptom of not being talkative is a symptom of MS.
yeah, like you forget what you're saying
Gotcha.
in the middle of the sentence. Think of like an etch a sketch. When you're drawing an etch a sketch,
Yeah, yeah.
somebody comes, shakes
And
it,
shakes it. Yeah, it's all
and
gone.
that's about that. Like my MS does that.
Yeah, I had to say what you were saying because I knew what you were saying because you cut off. I
Mm.
think when you back off is when it cuts you off. So I think it's your phone. But anyways, so I was kind of speaking for you on that behalf. So there is different types of MS. Okay, and then have your symptoms worsened?
I don't think that what they are doing is worsened. I just have new ones that add on.
Okay.
So, I mean, there was a time where I did, let's talk about, I had a flare up. I had a flare after I met Eddie.
Okay.
And we had just gotten together. And so we got together in March. I was pregnant in September.
Okay.
And in, um, in January 1st, I had my first flare up. And it was a very big flare. Um, I was only awake 2 hours a day. I was not eating anything. I lost all use of my legs. I had to have people help. Well, I say people, but my mother-in-law, because Eddie worked a lot, so I was living with her um, while I was going through the flare. I mean, she was helping me use the restroom. She was washing me.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
I had just met her, and she's taking care of me, and she is wonderful. Um, but I that it was really bad, and for my parents to see it like happening on FaceTime from Michigan was very hard. It was very hard for them. And so basically, as that flare started, I was noticing my legs were going. And it was almost like my feet were not there, is how it felt.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So what it felt like was my feet were going through the floor. It was a very weird sensation almost. Um, and I was having trouble speaking, and I was slurring my words, and I had really, really bad optic neuritis again, like we just talked about.
Right.
And I had lost sight in my other eye. So the one I was talking about first, that sight came back in 3 weeks. This sight was gone for an entire month.
So your other, so your was it your left eye was gone for three weeks, right?
Yep. And then
Then the right one went out for a few months,
for like a
a
month and
month.
a half.
Oh wow.
Yes. And I still get optic neuritis. I've had it twice after that too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I noticed my legs and everything, and then bam, I just lost it all, and that was within a couple days.
When you say you lost it all, what do you mean? Your vision, your legs?
My vision, my legs, my speech, I could barely eat. Um, and mind you, I was pregnant as this was happening.
Wow.
Yes.
That sucks.
It was rough. It was very rough. I didn't think I was ever going to come out of it. I would wake up every day, and I would just be the same as the day before. And it was like I couldn't get ahead at all. And we ended up having a nurse come to my mother-in-law's house and put an IV port in my arm so that I could get steroids
Oh,
that were
okay.
going to hopefully knock this flare out.
Right.
After the steroids, it took about 2 weeks
You
for stuff to start coming back.
start
I
working
mean,
again.
I was going like downstairs on my butt, each step of my butt.
Oh wow.
And once I got to the bottom, then I would have somebody holding my arms to help me walk. It was rough. It was rough.
And that was still in 2014, 2014, 2015. You say you were pregnant, so yeah, it had to be towards the end.
The very beginning of 2016.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Your son was born in 16. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I was 6 months pregnant when that happened.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It was rough. So when he was born, he was very small.
He was a preemie, or just he was just small?
No, he was full term, but he was only 5 pounds when he was born.
Oh wow, that was tiny.
Yes. Very, very small.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask how does it affect your life, but you pretty much already told me.
Yeah. Well, compared to people that I see on TikTok, because we have a whole community of people.
I see that when I go on your lives, you're talking to multiple people that have MS.
Yeah, it's a wonderful family on there. It really is. And I can see how it affects them daily. And it's like I just wish that I could take some from them and give it to myself, you know.
Because I heard, yeah, like you just said right now, I've heard that other people have it worse. Some people are in a wheelchair. Yeah. Like you said, yeah. You were almost paralyzed, you know.
Right. Taken my ability to drive.
Yeah.
And there's people that drive with absolutely no problem.
Yeah, that lady Jill, she drives. She still drives.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I think that was with the MS. I mean, that's the last question that I had. Anything else you want to share? Any other stories you've had when you had a different flare up? You're talking about 2016, but this is now 2024. I know recently. Right. I know recently you since I followed you on Facebook, I think recently you were in a wheelchair, weren't you?
No, I have a walker.
You have a walker. Okay, a walker. So you so you've been using a walker ever since?
Yes, but it's not every day.
Oh, okay.
It's I walk normally. Like I say, I hate the word normal. I hate the word.
You say normally. You cut off. You cut off. What was that last thing you said?
I said, "What is normal, anyways?"
Oh.
But like I walk without my walker normally.
Okay.
Now I'm very tired. I'll need to use it for just a little extra assistance. But I'm pretty good with my walking.
Okay.
But like if you were to ask me what a normal day is like, I will tell you that I wake up in the morning and I've got two things that I think of every day. One is I've got MS. I wake up every day and there's a constant reminder.
Right.
And the other one is, where's my drink? Because I just recently became sober.
Yeah.
But those are the two things I think of. Now with the MS, I think of that when I wake up is you've got MS. And the second one is like, are my legs going to work when I stand up to go walk? Are my hands going to work to grab my phone or, you know, turn my alarm off? All of that. It's a constant thing.
Okay.
Very constant.
Yeah, sometimes you don't, you know, some people don't, don't take for granted what they have. Is that the right word? Is that the right term?
No, they take for granted.
They take for granted what they, you know, so, yeah. You know, you have some people that aren't eating. You have, you know, complaining about food, but then you have people that don't eat. You complain about some people having a shitty day or they wake up with back pain, but yet you have someone like you that has to, you say you can't drive anymore, right? You can't work. I mean, it sucks. And it's a trip because ever since I've been listening to this morning show, I hear more and more and more and more cases of MS. You know, my cousin, I found out he had MS, and but he's not. Yeah, I don't think he wants to talk about it. But he just like he goes to the gym every day, but he's able to do that. He's able to go to the gym. He's able to work out. He lost like 50 pounds. He's, you know, driving around. He still gets to do fun activities with his family, with his kids. So not many people have that option.
Yeah, it surely puts it into perspective of things that are important that a lot of people take advantage of, take for granted, I should say.
That lady does say, I'm grateful to wake up every morning.
Yeah. When you've got something like that, you really do become grateful for a lot of things.
Yeah. Now,
A lot of
are you joining like yearly walks? Because I know she does that. She goes to the Rose Bowl here in California. She does it every year. I think she's been doing it for like over 10 years, where she
Yeah.
hosts a walk here in at the Rose Bowl.
I actually went and walked my first walk um back in March, I believe.
I know it was recently because I saw it on your Facebook.
Yeah. Yes, it was my first one, and basically I was gonna sign up 2 years prior and the year prior, but I had a drinking problem,
Mm,
and I always put it off.
right.
So
And do you what's the name of this walk? Like, does it have like a organization name or? She's giving me the finger to hold off. She didn't give me
because
that finger, but it's okay if you don't worry about it. If don't worry about it. Don't worry
I
about it.
can't. It's called. It's just the MS walk.
Is the MS walk? Because I know she has like I know the organization has like a name for it, but no worry
I think
about it.
it's
It's
walk.
just MS walk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Well, any other stories you have about MS?
Um.
Any words of wisdom for people that are just finding out they have MS? Encouraging
It's
words?
yeah. Don't be scared because
Okay.
it's a very scary place. Um. But I promise you'll get through it.
Okay. Well, hopefully that people that listen can take your advice and not be worried.
Yeah.
Um, so in your MS talk, conversation, you pretty much said multiple times that are sober and you were drinking a lot.
Yes.
When I met you through TikTok,
Oh Lord.
you were what we call a complete train wreck. And I did
Yes.
ask you for permission to say that a while back. You
Absolutely.
were a train wreck.
Yes.
So, when did the drinking start? When do you feel the drinking? When I say, I mean, anybody can drink at 21, but when did you feel the drinking got like you couldn't live without a drink?
So it did start off with just a few here and there. But then I started going into the drinking where every single time I would get sick to my stomach. And it would just make me want to try it to do more the next time to see where my limit was.
Okay.
And then it turned into, okay, well, I'm cleaning the house today, so I'm going to drink. I owe it to myself to drink and celebrate that I got the housework done. And then it turned into, okay, well, I got in a little tiff with my husband, and now I need to drink to get through it. And then I had a hard day parenting, and then I needed to have us drink to get the stress off.
Mm-hmm.
And I never realized that for everything there was an excuse to drink. Every single thing. I drank one day because I have MS and I was in my feelings about it. I drank one day because I got in a fight with my older son's father over the phone. I had a hard day at work, or I went to work, and you got to celebrate that. And so I drank about everything. And by the end of it, I was drinking. My last day of drinking, I drank 30 beers
By yourself?
in 12
Where
hours.
the hell do you hide that? Where do you put it?
I don't even know. It
Wow.
it was a lot, and I guess that night I don't remember doing it, but I completely believe I FaceTime my father.
And we'll
Eh,
get there. We'll get there in a minute. We'll
Okay.
get there. So did your drinking obviously did your drinking affect your family, like your kids, your husband, your well, future husband? How did it affect them or
So I don't know that it affected my children because they they knew that mom was really happy when she drank. And
Oh.
it wasn't until after they went to bed that it got to be, an issue. Um, with my husband, I was awful to him. When I drank, I was absolutely awful to him. There wasn't a name in the dictionary that I didn't call him.
Oh wow.
And if he wouldn't go get me something to drink, it would be even worse.
Oh wow.
So, and then he would have to get up and go to work. He's the breadwinner of the family, and I don't work. So he would have to get up the next morning after I completely trashed him, and go to work with a smile on his face.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can see the guilt in your face.
it's awful.
Yeah, I see the guilt in your face. That more power to him. I would have left.
Ab- Yeah, and no, he's wonderful. Um, he always holds it together really good for this family.
Yeah.
So, but as far as my kids, I don't think it really affected them at all. But for Eddie, it did. And then for my parents to watch it from another state.
Yeah.
And my mom ended up telling me, she's like, Ashleigh, don't call me. You've been drinking. Don't even pick up the phone to call me. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Oh wow.
Because I would call her and I would try to blame her for everything that happened in my childhood.
Okay.
So I would just take it out on people when I was the one with the issue.
So do you feel that you develop, obviously it seems like you developed drinking problem due to your childhood.
I do.
You want to open up about it?
Sure. So it was really rough on me. They say when something is traumatic, you remember a lot about it.
Oh, I remember when it comes down to like something negative that it affect me hard, I still know the time and date.
Yes.
So I know what you mean.
I remember, so I was wearing my favorite purple shirt. It was like a crew neck sweatshirt.
Uh-huh.
And my aunt had taken it for a couple hours or a couple days, I don't even know. And she painted a bunny rabbit on the front of it. And it was my favorite shirt. And I remember exactly where I was standing. And keep in mind, I'm only 4 years old.
Wow, you remember this day.
I do. And I remember the ambiance of the room. I remember there was a candle going, very soft lighting. There was a candle going, and my dad, I noticed that he was angry. And I was like, Dad, what's going on? Where are you going? I'm like, where are you going, Dad? Because he was starting to get his boots on. And it was cold out. And he just told me, I'm going to your uncle's, I'll be back. Well, little did I know he wasn't coming back for the family. He came, he had visitation and the weekends, it was every other weekend and all of that, but to come back as a family.
So that was the day that they pretty much broke up, divorced, or
Right.
broke up.
My dad, what he was going to go do, all he knew is he wasn't staying there.
Yeah.
So there was that day. And I want to say it wasn't very long after that he was in another relationship. Maybe it was a couple years. I don't know exactly. All I know is 3 years later, my little brother was born. So
okay.
it was in that time frame.
Okay.
So
it's your two older brothers, yourself, and then a younger steps brother.
He's my half brother, but I do have two.
I'm sorry,
other siblings.
half brother. Yeah.
Yeah, I also have two other siblings. We just haven't made it that far yet.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go for it. Sorry. Now I'm jumping the gun.
So my dad, he got with her name. I don't even want to put her name
No,
out there.
no names.
So then they had my little brother Tyler, and I was obsessed with my little brother when he was born. I didn't have the, oh, he's my little brother, I don't like him, he's from just dad, he's not the same as my
Yeah.
other brother. Me and Tyler are so incredibly close. It was awesome. I mean, I wanted to take him to school for show and tell and show my friends.
Show them off.
Yeah. So that's dad's side. And then my mom got with my stepdad, who's my stepdad now. And he had 2 kids from his marriage before my mom. So there was my eldest brother, my older brother, me,
You.
my stepsister, my stepbrother, and my half brother.
Wow. Brady Bunch up in this place.
Yeah, it was a lot. A lot.
So, did your mom, you said your mom, did she have more kids after you?
No, my
No.
mom didn't.
Oh, okay. So is there any other events that you can think of? I mean, you witnessed your parents break up, but I mean, is there other events? I mean, to get to the point where you were at in life, drinking so much?
Yeah, so it was basically when you're a child, you need to have a certain kind of love and a certain amount of love. Not love, I shouldn't say love. Attention.
Right.
And my parents were busy bringing a whole life together with their partners and with their kids and all of that to me, I'm just speaking from my point of view, is that I feel as though I was left behind a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And which goes to another kind of story, but of why I am where I am and why I drank.
Yeah.
Was when I was 18, I got married. And I think I got married young because I was like,
looking for that attention you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, looking for that attention.
That's exactly what you're describing is exactly what happened with the mother of my kids. She used me
Really?
to get attention that she did not have from her dad. She has a lot of daddy issues.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it wasn't that I didn't get attention from my dad. It was just placed a lot of other places rather than, I don't know if it was like rather than it was on me, but it just, I didn't get the attention that I felt as though I needed.
Right.
As
a child.
So I was like, well, no one can tell me what to do anymore. I'm just going to go get married. And he was my high school sweetheart, and I did want to marry him. It's just I was so young.
Right.
I was so young.
And how long did that marriage last?
So that marriage actually lasted a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just going to tell the story. We're going to tell it, okay?
I told you from the beginning, the microphone's all yours.
Yes. So basically we had gone back to Michigan because we lived in Texas. He was in the service. And we had gone to Michigan for Christmas break. And I was so excited because we had a fresh new little baby. He was only 3 months old. And we decided while we were there, he was going to leave a few days early to go back home to go visit. We'll go back and visit his mom before he went home. Mm-hmm. And she lived in North Carolina. So he went down there to go see her. And I wake up to a message on my phone in Facebook Messenger. And it was my husband. And he said, "Don't come home." And I was like, what? What the heck is going on? And he said, "Better yet, you bring my child and you go home or you leave."
This SOB broke up with you through Facebook Messenger?
Yes. Yes.
What a fucking jabroni, man. There's my first F-bomb. Wow.
That was a hard freaking pill to swallow.
I said that I was gonna try my best to not swear, but holy shit, you gotta be effing kidding me.
Yeah, well, that's what my stepdad said. You got to be effing kidding me. That, that happening, and he got me a lawyer.
Okay.
So we come to do the divorce and all of that, and it came to custody, right?
Right.
And since he was in the service,
Oh
well,
fuck.
we go to do the custody part, and I've got my lawyer with me, and coincidentally we had the same print on. I had a like a snakeskin dress on.
Uh-huh.
Not literal snakeskin, like a snakeskin
Yeah.
print dress.
Yeah, I get it.
She had a suit that had it on there, and I'm like, hell yeah, look at us, right? I'm like, we're winning this.
Yeah.
So, well, I look over, and my ex-husband, he was wearing khaki cargo shorts, tennis shoes, and a t-shirt.
Wasn't ready for court at all.
For custody, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I remember my wife made me buy multiple ties, multiple dress shirts. She showed me how to YouTube how to do my tie and everything. This guy went in
Yes.
shorts.
He showed up in shorts and tennis shoes, and the judge took one look at him, and she says, you get out of here. You guys can come to an agreement outside the court, and you can come back and bring it to me. So my lawyer and I sat there with him and decided what was going to go on. And basically what happened, since he was in the service, was I have all rights to designate the primary residence of the child with no geographic restriction, meaning if he deploys, I can move our child wherever
you
I
want. Yeah.
So all of that happened, and everything was fine. And we went our own ways, and I had custody of my son, our son. And
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for I appreciate you saying thank you. Yes.
Always
yes.
our.
Because my baby's mom always says mine, mine, mine,
Yeah,
mine.
I can't stand that, Andy.
Oh.
That is.
I think the last time I talked to her on the phone, I told her they're our kids, not yours. So, anyways, enough about me.
So basically, that was the whole gist of it. And he had gotten out of the military, so we all coincidentally lived back in Michigan together. Not together, but in the state together.
Yeah.
Well, I was really irritated one day, and I took it out on my stepdad, and I called him a piece of shit one day. And he told me, all right, well, my mom came to me actually, and she says, look, you said that about your stepdad. You need to find a place to live.
Oh, shit.
So here I am now with my son, who's a year and a half maybe. And I'm like, well, shit, I've got nowhere to frickin' go. So I didn't have like close friends. Because once I graduated high school, I went and got married, and I had a new life with kids. So nobody wanted to really hang out.
Yeah.
You know, young, they don't have kids. They're not worried about that. So I made a call to my son's father, the one who left me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I said, look, we don't have anywhere to go. And he said, well, why don't you come back here? You and Ian come here, and we'll figure this thing out.
So you were living with you went back to live with him, and you said his dad?
Yeah, but we wanted more. So we decided, like, we wanted a different take on life. So we decided, why don't we all move to North Carolina to be around his mother?
Right.
So we moved down there, and things were going great. We lived there for probably a year and a half or so.
Right.
And I mean, it was normal. It was normal. Like, his dad worked at the gas station, and so it was right on the corner right by our house. So we would walk down to the gas station while dad was working and do all of that, hang out there and spend the evening with him. He's bored at the gas station, so we would go there. And which is crazy because right after that I had gotten the diagnosis of the MS. So I was surprised that I was walking, every day to go see him there. So we would visit him at work.
Okay.
And then when he would work late nights, so I would take our son home and get him to bed and all of that, and then we would hang out, together.
So you guys, kind of got back together. Or
Yeah.
got back together.
Yeah.
You cut off. What was that?
I said, yeah, we
Okay.
did. But
Well, I mean, obviously it didn't work out.
it did not work out. There was something that happened on his side. We won't say exactly
No worries.
what, but
You can give the people the imagination.
yes. So he wasn't faithful.
There, well, you said it.
Yes, I said it. He wasn't faithful, and I was like, oh, well, per our divorce decree, I have all rights to designate the primary residence of the child with no geographic restriction, right?
Deuces.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, I can go back up to Michigan. He's got family there. I've got family there. I won't be alone. It'll be great, right? So I was naive. I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't know that it would ultimately be wrong. So I didn't realize that once we got back together that it voided all of that.
Oh no.
All except the divorce.
Yeah.
All the everything was void at that point. And I didn't know that because I had never lived. I had never, you know what I mean?
You were still a kid.
And then that was my life. I didn't live to know that.
Yeah.
And I'm changing Ian's diaper up in Michigan, and I'm thinking, oh, life's great, right? And there was a knock at the door. And I answer it, and it was a police officer and my son's father standing there for immediate extraction of the child.
What the fuck?
Immediate extraction. So, and I'm flipping as they're standing there. I'm like, no, I have the rights. I have the rights. And I'm looking in my divorce decree for this paper that says that I have all the rights for it. I'm panicking.
Yeah.
And there I couldn't find it. And he says it doesn't matter. The police officer said it doesn't matter. It's immediate extraction of the child. So I had to give my child away that day.
And how old was your son?
He was 1 week away from 3 years old.
Wow.
Because what happened is his father texted me and acted all normal and everything with me. And he's like, hey, so what are you doing for our son's birthday? And I'm like, oh, we're going to go out with my mom and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, he just wanted to know that I was texting him and everything so that he knew that he could come right then to get our son. He texted me that and then showed up with the police.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fighting back and forth for my son with lawyers and all kinds of stuff. But ultimately, I'll spare the details, but ultimately, my son does live with his father.
And
I still have rights and everything, but he still lives with his father because his jurisdiction was in North Carolina. So he had to move back to North Carolina.
Okay.
While I am also figuring out my life and figuring out, I didn't have a place to live, all of that. So I ended up moving to Virginia. My aunt was getting married and said, that was in Virginia. And she said, why don't you come down here? She says, you're closer to court to fight it because the court was in North Carolina.
Right.
And I'm in Virginia. So it's not too far away. It's only 6 hours as opposed to 12 if I lived in Michigan, right? So I came down here and I fought and I fought and I fought for Ian. And they kind of were like, well, who runs away with their child? What good mother runs away with her child? Was basically what happened.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I'm sorry you went through that.
it was very hard. And so that's just another thing to add to the reason that I had the drinking problem.
Right.
Um, and then the MS, and it was just like a woe is me, really.
Right.
But
So how long were you, well, like I said earlier, how long were you a train wreck for? Like, we're talking, your son's 3, so you're saying you've been drinking for the past, what, 10 years?
um, no, but no. So it was like when it became a really big problem was in the past few years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's only been the past few years, but like when I didn't drink really at all up until a few years ago.
Okay.
I like started drinking and it was an issue shortly thereafter.
Right. So, I mean, did any friends try to give you advice and tell you, hey, cut back?
Not really.
No.
Not really, because when I did drink, I kind of did it like on my own.
Okay.
Yeah,
To yourself.
yeah,
Okay.
it was I would drink during the day by myself. I would drink at night by myself. I it was just me.
Yeah, when I would watch your lives, you would just sit there in front of the camera and just, that's it. You just
Yeah,
drunk.
just drink. I would drink. I was drunk. It was a mess. It really was.
Yeah. So what is it called? Broke the camel's back? Or what finally make you seek help? Because you said earlier you made a phone call. Before
I
we
did.
started talking about it, you made a phone call.
I
What was
did.
that? Do you recall that phone call?
Yes, and I will say it was the best phone call I could have ever made in my life. It was so I called my dad that night and he had been seeing me because he was the person I called when I was drinking. And he would always be the one to calm me down. And, because when I would call him, I'd be crying. I would just cry about MS, or I would cry about my relationship, or I would cry about how tired I was being a mom, not being a mom, but it was tiring. It was so exhausting.
Right.
And I told him that I think I needed help. And he and his wife, well, his wife told him, now's our time to go right now. He lives in Michigan. And she said, now is our time to go right now. Get her help. She asked for it. She's like literally begging you for help. So they packed up their vehicle and their, I think he was 6 months old, their German Shepherd puppy. And they came down here and my dad actually talked to my mother-in-law to get her to come with him to be able to talk to me. And this was all a surprise to me until he knocked on my door.
So he didn't tell you, I'm on my way, I'm going to come? No.
Mm-mm. And I had forgotten that I had said anything to him.
Right.
So when he showed up at my door and then my mother-in-law behind him, my whole world came to an abrupt halt. And it was, what was that show called, Andy? The one where, Intervention.
Oh, it wasn't, okay.
Where you see these people, there's the group of people who are supporting them, but they come into the room and they see everybody and they're like, nope, no freaking way, was how I felt. I felt so backed in a corner,
Right.
and I was pissed. My initial reaction was I was pissed. And I was like, today's the freaking day, isn't it? My fun stops here. My fun stops here.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it as my coping mechanism stops here. You know what I mean? Like I didn't, how do I say this? I didn't see it as the wonderful things that it is now.
Right.
I didn't see it as in the near future I'm going to have a clear head. In the near future I'm going to see colors again and not dark anymore. You know, I didn't know that what was about to happen was going to change my entire life forever. And having my dad do what he did was such a beautiful thing for me.
So you went missing. When I say you went missing, meaning I didn't see you on TikTok or Facebook for like a month or two?
Yeah, so my sober date is September 23rd of 23. And that was the day, because we didn't know what we were doing. So basically, my dad had called the rehab center and was like, my daughter really needs help. What do we do? And they told him what we had to do. And they said that I have to go to the emergency room. I need to tell them I have multiple sclerosis. I have depression, and I'm a drinker, and I need help. And so I did, and I went to detox. And this is the crazy part about it, is I've never been alone in my life. So if you think about it, up until I was 18, I lived with my parents. Then I got married and I lived with my ex-husband. And then I moved back in with my mom again. And then they kicked me out because I called my stepdad a piece of shit. And then I lived back with my ex-husband. And then I lived at my aunt's house. And then I lived with my now husband for the past almost 10 years.
You call him husband.
I know. Yes. So I had never been alone. And I had to check myself into
You've
the
never
hospital.
been alone, but you felt alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I've never thought of that. Yes, you are so right.
So you said you had to check yourself into a facility?
Yeah, so I had to check myself into the emergency department first. And I was scared. I was very scared. And I woke up the next morning. I was still in the emergency room because they put me in like this room that was kind of backed off of the general area. And I get up the next morning and they bring in the breakfast. And I actually, in a notebook somewhere, I have it because I was documenting my days.
Right.
And I remember writing, well, we've made it. And I said, but this breakfast is trash. It was awful. It was so bad. I felt like I was in jail. It was these soggy fried potatoes and like I think it was a sausage patty. I don't even know. It was just awful. So anywho, so I checked myself into there, and then after that, I went to detox. I went from, so hold on. So basically, from the emergency room to by ambulance to, no, I'm lying again. I'm lying. this is such a blur for me. It really is. It was such a big time in my life that I really don't remember the details. So basically, yeah, I went through the detox and I went to rehab, and rehab was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I had time to learn about Ashleigh and not be mom and not be honey and not be daughter. I was Ashleigh.
Right.
And I learned a lot about myself. And I learned about how to enjoy life without drinking.
That's good.
And it was beautiful.
And how long were you in this facility or the rehab?
I was in there for 1 month. My dad told me that he was trying to get me into like a 3-month program. I mean, is how bad I was.
Right.
And he was kind of upset when it was only a month. He was pretty upset about that. But I mean, hey, I did 1 month, and
for being in rehab for only 1 month, can you proudly, with excitement in your voice right now, Ashleigh, how many days have you been sober?
308.
You can do better than that. Yell it, Ashleigh. Yell it.
308 days sober. Yes.
Wow. Good for you.
And I absolutely love my sobriety. And there isn't something better in life I could ask for. There really isn't. I can.
Go ahead. I cut you off.
That's okay. I was just gonna say I can see things. I can love on my children wholeheartedly, and love my husband in ways I never knew that I could. I can think, I can use my brain and like think. I don't even know how to say this. All I know is it's a beautiful feeling. There's so much more to this world than just my next beer.
When I saw you for the first time after rehab back on your TikToks, I was like, wow, Ashleigh has more color in her face.
Yeah.
You were glowing. You were, like that photo that you always post on your live, that looked like a mugshot.
Well, I have that picture if you want to add that in here.
There's no way. I'm not filming this. It's just your audio.
Okay.
But I mean, we can share your you want to share your TikTok, your name, your share your TikTok name. See if people want to go look you up.
Sure.
You don't know.
I can do that.
Okay. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll add it to the description on the podcast.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, like I said, you look a lot more healthier. You look, like I said, when I met you, you were a train wreck. I think the first time I met you, you were on TikTok live, and I joined your live, and we talked for like an hour, and you didn't know me, I didn't know you. You just needed someone to talk to.
I did really bad.
And we tried to get you on the podcast, but you apologized multiple times, and then like I said, this last month I just been hounding you, and you know what? You have to. You've come so far.
Yeah, thank you.
And
but I literally I was living hangover to hangover.
Yeah.
And literally, like I one day I told myself I was gonna write, a poem or a song or something of some sort called Hangover to Hangover.
Right.
Because that's exactly what I did.
Wow. That's a trip. You can still do it because you lived it. You can still do it.
Yeah.
You can still do it. Wow. 308 days.
Yes. And it feels just wonderful. Wonderful.
That's good. That's very good for you. I'm very happy for you. And like you see, you're talking to somebody you've never met in person.
Yeah.
And you are, like I said, you've come a long way from when I first met you to now.
Yeah, thank you.
Because a year ago, again, you were a freaking train wreck.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
I was getting TikTok ban after TikTok
You
ban.
were. You even called me on Facebook Messenger because you needed to talk to me.
No.
I'm like, they blocked me on TikTok. They blocked me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it.
You're like, you deserved it, but sorry.
Yeah. I remember you were so angry when they blocked you on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I mean, so your dad, I think you told me your dad stayed the entire time you were in rehab? Like he stayed down here?
The whole time.
Yeah. Because he was obviously helping with your kids, right? Your kiddo?
Yeah.
With your kid?
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good dad right there.
I know. He's wonderful. I love my dad.
And you, I believe you, I don't think you said it, but you told me he drove 12 hours, right? Nonstop?
He did. Yep.
Wow.
Hours. With a puppy.
Yeah.
And his wife.
Don't forget the puppy.
Don't forget the puppy. It's my little brother.
Wow, Ashleigh. Again, I'm proud of you. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep it up. And I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. Anything else you have to say? I told you from the beginning, the microphone's all yours.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for this opportunity to, get my story out.
No.
I really appreciate.
Yeah, you cut off again.
I said thank you for the opportunity to get my story out.
No problem. I heard that part. I think you said you appreciate something.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's what it was. I read your lips.
You just wanted to hear it again.
Yeah, I read your lips. I just didn't hear you. No problem. Like I said, this is a good, like I said, I've been listening to the Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, and he says the same thing. This is therapy. This is therapy, and I know that that's what I've always done is talk to people, get stuff off our chest and stuff, and it's like, but when I hear celebrities do it and they're saying the same thing we're saying, it's therapy. Doesn't make me feel that bad to be like a chismoso on this podcast, because some people are like, oh, you're just telling everybody your business. I'm like, but it's therapy. And for me to hear, like I said, celebrities, A-listers talking about problems of their own childhood, it makes me feel better knowing that I'm letting people share their stories.
Yes, and the thing is we unleashed a little bit of trauma here that I have, and I am going to choose to go through it healthily.
Healthy?
way. A real way to cope with it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
A sober way of coping with it?
Yeah. I've done therapy and all of that, and I've learned different ways to cope and to allow myself to feel all of that. So that is what I'm going to do.
Okay, Ashleigh with an H.
Ashleigh with an E-I-G-H.
She spells her name differently. That was the joke.
Yeah.
Well, Ashleigh, thank you for your time. I'm gonna let you go because I know you need to turn on your fan. I gotta turn on my AC. It is so freaking hot in here. But Ashleigh, like I end every podcast, thank you for riding with me.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
No problem. See you later.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.